Hello everyone and welcome to LEGO Star Wars Hot Takes Episode 8. As always, if you have any hot takes or controversial opinions about LEGO Star Wars that you want me to discuss in next week's video, make sure to go ahead and leave them in the comments below. But without further ado, hopping right into it, starting off with Mario Penguin 2588. He says, hot take, I like the attention Phase 2 clones are getting right now, but I would really love to see some more modern Phase 1 clones in some sets, especially since they have the details down and most people probably wouldn't complain. And I completely agree with you, I think this is a great take. The last Phase 1 clone troopers we got was in that minifigure pack that came out at the beginning of last year, and as most of you guys know, that was kind of a nightmare to get your hands on. And then from then on, LEGO just started producing mainly only Phase 2 clones, and obviously there's been a lot of controversy around them for a lot of different reasons. So yeah, I do think that if LEGO went back to making more Phase 1 clone troopers along with the Phase 2 clone troopers, it would just satisfy some fans more and there wouldn't be so much controversy around clone troopers. Because I mean, the clone troopers that came in that minifigure pack were really good troopers. It was just hard to get your hands on that set. So hopefully next summer we will get some new ones. Earlier this year there were some rumors floating around about some more episode 2 sets coming out next summer. I don't know how credible those are, but that is a chance that we could get more Phase 1 clone troopers. JHVN7EY. I don't know if that's an auto-generated name or not. Anyways, he says, hot take, I think Jango Fett is better than Boba Fett and that Boba Fett is very overrated. And I think that they should have done a UCS Jango Fett Slave 1 rather than a Boba Fett Slave 1. And oh my gosh, I cannot agree with you more on this. I've been waiting to say this for so long. Actually, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm going to slow down. First off, I do think that the UCS Slave 1 from 2015 was a great set and a great addition to that year. Although since then, we have just gotten way too many Boba Fett sets. I know that there was a whole TV show that came out around Boba Fett, but that's still just not an excuse to literally put a Boba Fett or a Boba Fett themed set in every single wave of a year. And like you kind of talked about, LEGO has just forgot about Jango Fett, and it's really frustrating. And in my opinion, I think Jango Fett is way better than Boba Fett anyways. The last set that we got that included Jango Fett was in 2017, being the Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter with hyperdrive, and that was 6 years ago. And since then, since 2017 when the last set with Jango Fett came out, LEGO has made over 10 sets that they're either themed to Boba Fett or include Boba Fett. Not to mention that 2 out of those 10 sets were Slave 1s, and the last Jango Fett Slave 1 we got was in 2002. Yeah, it is just really frustrating that we are just getting an absurd amount of Boba Fett content for just no reason. Well, actually, the obvious reason is because of the Boba Fett show that came out at the beginning of last year, but that was still over a year and a half ago, and people didn't even really like that show, and a lot of people have moved on from it now, but they're still continuing to give us Boba Fett sets, and it just doesn't make any sense. I also kind of feel like since LEGO is making so much prequel content right now, they sort of feel like they have to cater to original trilogy fans in some way, so by doing this, they're just giving us Boba Fett sets because they think that's everyone's favorite character, I guess. But in reality, if they want to cater to original trilogy fans, we need more Stormtrooper battle packs, more Rebel battle packs, more Imperial vehicles, more Rebel vehicles, but no, we're just getting Boba Fett sets. KP Broseph says, hot take, the printed wastegapes aren't as bad as everyone makes them out to be. Yes, they aren't the best, and I think it's better to have a physical one, but I think it's fine. And I'm definitely gonna have to disagree with you on this one. Honestly, in my opinion, I think it's kind of better to just have no wastecape instead of a printed wastecape. I'm gonna use the new Commander Fox as an example, and really in universe, his legs are significantly red and then white on the lower half, and since LEGO didn't do dual modded legs here, there is a lot of white showing on his legs, and a wastecape would have covered up the sides of his legs and made him look way more accurate. Although instead, his legs are mainly white with just a little bit of red at the top, and then the supposedly printed wastecape along the sides, which is literally just 2 gray lines, and honestly, like, it's not even easy to make out that this is supposed to be a wastecape. It looks like it's just supposed to be extra detail on his legs. It doesn't even make out a wastecape at all in my opinion. So I think if they're not going to make a physical wastecape, just do dual modded legs, and if they're not going to do that, at least take off the gray lines that are supposed to be the wastecape and just make some more room for some more red to make it a little bit more accurate than it already is. Shregel Reviews says, hot take, the best trooper figure ever made is the Sith Trooper. The red just looks amazing. Now, I do admit that the Sith Troopers do look pretty cool, especially as LEGO minifigures, especially the Jet Troopers. They have a pretty unique helmet design, and like you said, the red just looks really good. And you know, when you're looking at it from just a LEGO standpoint, yeah, they are pretty good figures, but the fact that it's from the sequels, more specifically episode 9, really just takes away all my enthusiasm for this figure. I mean, I'm sure it would look really, really cool in large numbers, and the battle pack they came in is pretty cool. It's just the fact that the movies were pretty bad kind of just makes me not have any interest in these sets, and it's nothing on LEGO at all. I think they did a great job designing these figures. It's just I don't really care to have a lot of them because, I mean, well, they're from the sequels, and the sequels kind of sucked in my opinion. So it's just kind of hard for me to really like this set, but I do agree with what you said. The Sith Troopers do look pretty cool, and they are pretty underrated LEGO figures, but in Star Wars, they're just forgettable. Omar Boba says, hot take, LEGO completely took advantage of the fan base for the 501st Battle Pack by making it double the price of previous battle packs and making it bigger than it needed to be. And you know, when the 501st Battle Pack was first revealed back in 2020, I actually had this exact same thought. Although obviously nobody complained about it because it was what everyone wanted, I did kind of think in the back of my head, like, dang, this is a little bit bigger than it needed to be, and it's not really a traditional battle pack at all. And to this day, I still feel like they threw in the 2 droids and the speeder to bump up the price to $30 and make a bigger profit margin than maybe a $15 battle pack with just the walkers and the clones would have had. So yeah, they did kind of overdo it with this set, and they did it in a pretty strategic way, as there was a lot of hype around it and no one really even acknowledged it. So yeah, I will go so far to agree with you and say that they did really take advantage of the hype. Apperson-JX5BM says, hot take, the 2008 ATTE is better than the 2023, I assume you meant 2022 ATTE. The minifigure selection is better and the build is more visually pleasing. As much as I love the 2008 ATTE, I just think the 2022 version is just better and overall more modern and more realistic. I mean, it is by far the most accurate ATTE LEGO has made, and I think they did a really good job with the build itself. You might think the 2008 version is visually pleasing just because it's bigger, and I do admit it does look a little bit cooler just because it is bigger and there's a lot more big pieces on it and stuff, but you can't deny that the 2022 version is the most accurate one that we've gotten. And it also has better minifigures despite the helmet holes. I mean, you get 5 clone troopers, including the Phase 2 Commander Cody, which is a great minifigure in my opinion, and then 3 battle droids, compared to the last one that just got Anakin and Ahsoka, Captain Rex, and a normal clone trooper, and then a droid on a stap. It had more variety, but I don't feel like they fit the set as well as the figures in the newer one do. Spino says, hot take, flickfire missiles are the best LEGO projectile next to the mega shooter. And I'm gonna have to disagree with the flickfire missiles part, but not the mega shooter part. I just never liked flickfire missiles, and I could never get them to fire very well either. And when you flick them pretty hard, they do hurt your finger a little bit, especially if you hit it like directly with your fingernail. And then LEGO made spring-loaded shooters, and I think it's honestly by far one of the best features they've ever made for their sets. It just looks really cool and it shoots really far, and they're pretty fun to play with. Although when talking about the mega shooters, yeah, I honestly agree with you. I don't think anything's gonna beat the mega shooters. Those things are basically spring-loaded shooters on steroids, and they fire really fast and really far, and they weren't really used on a lot of Star Wars sets because they were sort of hard to fit in without making the set look kind of ugly or wonky, but when they were used, they were really cool. Brandic Zima says, hot take, minifigures are the most overrated thing in LEGO Star Wars. People act that 50% of the set depends on the minifigures, but in reality, the build is what matters the most. Now, I actually do agree with this. I think nowadays in people's heads, the minifigures are starting to outweigh the actual build in terms of what makes the set valuable to them. Although I do think that the minifigures do play a pretty substantial role. And yeah, I actually would even say up to 50%, but there has to be a perfect balance. And I wouldn't say they play up to 50% in every set, although there's sets where the minifigures don't really play a huge role, like maybe the UCS sets. Obviously, it's expected that we're going to get 1 or 2 high quality minifigures, but the main focus is for the build. Although with play scale sets, especially ones that are including significant characters, yes, they do play a pretty big role. But I would say never more than 50%, because if a set has bad minifigures but a really good build, a lot of people will tend to just overlook the build. The most recent examples of this are with the Swamp Speeder battle pack that we just got. I think that Swamp Speeder build is absolutely incredible, but people just focus on the clone troopers. I get it is a battle pack, but still I think people discredit that build a lot. And another one might be the ATTE from 2022. People just complain about the helmet holes, which is valid, although the build is actually really good and the most accurate ATTE we've ever gotten. So yes, I pretty much do agree with your hot take. But anyways guys, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. As always, if you have any hot takes about LEGO Star Wars, make sure to go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the end screen right now.